So I've almost got everything processed and cleaned from all the craziness of the last few weeks. My crazy score videos, my last Sunday salvage sales videos, the dozen bikes I bought for parts and to play with. And just when I think I'm brokest, and just when I think I'm done, I'm not actually done. I still have 5 or 6 wheels to go through and double check, and a couple of boxes of parts I need to clean and put up on eBay or decide what I'm going to save. But just when I think I'm done and ready to start on a new project, which will be the Centurion, building it up with some black single speed parts probably, something popped up on Craigslist that was too good to be true. And luckily I had a really good week on eBay and can almost even afford it. So let's go through my new score. And then maybe next video I'll get to the Centurion and do the black fun fixie build. It's a lot, guys. It's the coolest. You ready? And here we are. Nice wooden case, vintage. My old one was from the 70s. This one might be from the 80s. It might be newer. Maybe it's older. I don't really know. But let's see what's inside. Are you ready to see the most expensive bike tool I've ever bought? It's almost true, other than like, frame jigs. Ta-da! So what we have here is the Cobra Utensils Speciale Bologna, Italy. So Cobra is the company that made Campy's tools. So this set basically has a bunch of Campy tools that say Cobra on them. See if you can read that. Cobra! This is the Master Mechanic set, or Frame Builder set, really. It has some super nerdy stuff like all your basic bottom bracket, and headset, wrenches, and pin spanners. Oh, one broken pin. Come on, guys. Cone wrenches. It's got a cool freewheel vise and removal tool, double-sided tool. But where it gets real cray-cray is up in here. So let's start, I don't know, let's keep going with the littler, easier stuff. So this is like a Crown Race installation tool. So chamfered in here, you hammer on this to knock Crown Races onto forks. Very cool. This is one of my personal favorites. So this is a bottom bracket tool. So this is for the old style fixed cups. They're just 2 slots. Something like you would use this tool for. It goes over the fixed cup. They're stuck on the frame because it's very, very tight, which happens sometimes. And then this one comes in from the other side of the bottom bracket shell and threads on, and then you can put a tap handle through, and you can really reef on this dude to knock that fixed cup loose. Instead of trying to fight with this thing, always slips. This thing really bolts it on tight to the frame. A totally amazing tool. God, this thing has extra sets of tap handles too. I feel like my old kit only had like 1. This has 1 full long one for that tool, 1 full long one for the BB facer, it looks like. 2 more full long ones for the bottom bracket taps. And then 2 sets of the threaded ones, which are for definitely the Crown Race cutter. And I don't know. This has just so much stuff. Yeah, I only had 1 set of the threaded ones and 1 set of these. Okay, next, this has, let's go for this. Next has this guy, which is in theory, it's supposed to be, we'll find out, English threaded die for steer tubes. So you can run these threaded handles in here. You put this down over an old fork, and it's got some springs you can put on there, and it's got a threaded top, so you can put this on to get this guy nice and tight with spring pressure. And you can twist and twist and twist, and this will keep threading your fork down. So if your fork, you grab a replacement fork and it's off a 55 centimeter frame, but your frame's a 54. You're like, oh, there's not enough threads. I can't get my headset installed correctly. You can grab this guy and add more threads. And you gotta put lube on, and you gotta turn it real hard and blister your fingers, and you gotta do one turn and back it off a little bit to knock the chips out of the way, and do another turn, back it off, knock the chips out of the way. So it's a slow, painful process, and 10, 15 years ago, shops would charge you $25 for the first half inch, and then $20 an inch after that, because the first is the hardest. So it's a really valuable tool for cleaning damaged fork threads, and for if you have a damaged fork thread from a loose headset, you can braze a little brass on and then rechase that. Or yeah, if you're putting the wrong size fork on a bike, or you have a weird headset that's really deep or something, you can add threads. This next tool is a crown race cutter. So this goes onto your fork, and your crown race needs to be, for English, 26.4 millimeters. I think it's actually really like 26.3 or something, and the actual crown race is 26.4. It's a friction fit, and you gotta hammer it onto the fork. Your headset bearing's right on that. And if they die and you replace your headset, you gotta knock it off, and then you gotta hammer a new one on. But sometimes they get mangled. As a frame builder, they're not finished machined, and you have to do this after every one. Brazing stuff can warp things sometimes, so most of these cutting and facing and threading tools are great for frame builders for cleaning things up, making things better, doing final cleanup and prep. Now this whole toolkit doesn't even have, it's got a bearing in it. My old one didn't even have that, I just forced it. It all has Silva cutters instead of the Cobra cutters, so I don't know if these came with Silva later on, or if he replaced all the Cobra cutters at one point. I was told by the guy I bought this from, he was like a retired bike shop owner, that he got these from a different retired bike shop owner who was over 80 years old, and he'd had these since they were new, and they really look like they've never been used. This like nitrile coating isn't worn off, which is great. My old set was very dull. I just sort of learned how to use them dull. You know, you just get a real feel for it. Everything's a little loose, and you feel it, and then you tighten it up a little bit. You know, you fight it. Next, we have bottom bracket facer. So it's got the cutting tool here, it's got some threaded dudes here, and some springs and some stuff. So this guy unthreads, this all comes off, and then you thread these dudes into your bottom bracket. They're threaded just like a bottom bracket cup. And you get them all the way in and out of the way, just as sort of a guide. So this tool goes in really straight, and all the teeth are on here. And you put a big tap handle and you twist it, and this cleans up your bottom bracket. If it's crooked, if someone over tightened the bottom bracket or thread one in crooked and damage the face, this refaces it nice and flush, so you can adjust your bottom bracket, put a new one on, get it tight, get it flush, get it square so your bearings don't die. This is mostly important for vintage bottom brackets, you know, cup and cone style, or after you have a bike painted or powder coated and there's a bunch of goo on there, you can just barely chase that goo down to the bare metal so you know it's nice and flush. With steel cartridges, it's really not that big of a deal. Oh, this tool is gold and says Cobra on it. If it says Silva on their side, yeah, maybe this was the stock set. So bottom bracket chasers, so of course, the other very important bottom bracket thing is the bottom bracket taps. So these guys, you put the big tap handles through, and one is right hand thread and one is left hand thread, in theory, if they're English. He said they're English. Boy, I don't see it. Let's really hope they're English. We'll find out the hard way. It's got this big giant drive bearing, so you can kind of get it in. I usually start them both just a little bit. Like the bottom bracket shells here. And I get them in, and I get the threads just barely started. Make sure they're both started, and then you can go in and chase those threads and clean out any burrs or mistakes or tight spots or anything. And this way, with this big giant shaft in the middle, it lets them really stay in plane and really cuts perfectly straight through for your bottom bracket to be nice and aligned and the bearings all aligned and not have tight spots. And we will use this. If this is English threaded, we will use this. I have that MB2 that had a crooked bottom bracket cup in it. I pulled it out, which I didn't do on video, and it does not look too bad, and I think it'll be totally fine just running a tap through it. Then we got this big boy. So this big boy is the head tube reamer and facer. So it's got two cutting faces. One reams the inside of the head tube for your headset cup to press into, and the second face cuts flat the top or the bottom of the head tube. Your cup will sit all the way down and nice and flush. Art 044 HSS Silva. It doesn't actually say what sizing, so this could be ISO, this could be JIS. If it's English, it's probably going to be ISO, which is 30.2, and whatever the top is, I don't think it really matters. 1-inch threaded. Got a little Allen wrench in here for something or other. Another tool, and I'm not really sure what this is. My set didn't have this. This looks like probably a crank removal tool. Looks like it threads into the old cranks. It's got wrench flats to tighten it down, and it's only got an Allen wrench on the outside to twist it in and pull your crank off. But cool little crank extractor. So this is a beautiful, wonderful set of Master Mechanic tools. I'm very excited about it. I will be using all of these tools, and shortly in videos. You know, most really big high-end shops do a lot of builds will have some tools like this, even the new Park tools or whatever. A lot of little shops won't, and they'll go to a friend's shop who does have them to use them. People used to come when I had my first shop, Kent Cycle Repair, like 4 or 5 shops from all around would come whenever they needed something, like because you can tap French bottom brackets out to English. You can tap any destroyed bottom bracket out to Italian if you have that. So I had a guy working for me, a really old retired guy who'd come in sometimes. He is super cool. Oh good, at least this says it's BSE, which is English. He would come in and bring his Italian tools in and tap people's bottom brackets and his French tools and tap them. And once in a while I tackled stripped French bottom brackets out to English. It really just sort of pushes the threads around and put them where you want them, but it was mostly good enough. So that is my beautiful wooden tool case. I paid $1,000 for this. My old set was less complete and older and kind of dull, and I paid about $900 for that, $800 for that, 10, 12 years ago now. And when I sold it for 12. And the old guy threw in some tools. When I bought my old one, he threw in a Hosan fork threading tool because it didn't have this in that kit. And this guy also had some other tools I bought, and he also threw in some tools. So let's check those dudes out. Much better. So we have this, and I almost didn't buy it. It's in the original box. It looks like it's never been used. It's another VAR tool, which I'm a huge fan of vintage VAR tools. And it is another threading tool for like a crown race machining tool for machining down crown races, I believe, but it's very, very, very weird. I think it's a very early one for threadless stuff, because it looks to be an inch, maybe with an 1.1" adapter pressed on, like a fake dummy stem. And then it's got some crown race cutters. They don't go inside the head tube though, they're just crown race. This one's double-sided, which I've already did. It's probably 27.0 on one side and 26.4 on the other. It's very silly since it's going inside. I wonder if it's missing something. This one is 1.1", which is probably early 1.1" threaded. Or maybe not. It's got some shims, which I assume maybe go in your head tube to hold it in place. It's got this big spring, a big doodad to tighten down to your threadless stem. I guess you put this inside as a guide, and you can tighten it down and twist and turn these cutter things. I don't really know. I have no idea. Maybe I'll never be able to use it with these missing parts. And it was $100, but it's super cool. Maybe I'll find some pictures on the internet and figure it out. So I bought that. He also had a bunch of random other VAR tools that he wanted $20 to $100 a piece for. I bought a few. I mean, I didn't buy one of these at the swap meet once for $5 and regret it. This is $20, and it's a VAR chainring tool. So this side's like a 5 for the chainring, and this side's like a little double pin spanner for the backside of the chainring bolt. I think it's so you can get real stuck bolts off. It's like spring loaded on there and you can twist it off. Sometimes I really fight some stuck chainring, sometimes I have to drill some out. So this is a VAR chainring straightening tool. I actually think it's for really vintage cranks and like cotter cranks. I feel like I had one of these and I used to try it on some bikes and it never actually fit very well. But you know, 20 bucks, I want it just in case. I'll straighten some little chain rings. Yeah, this bad boy, giant VAR. This thing is like 5 pounds. Crown race removal tool, and it's got several different layers of lips for different widths of crown races. And then you drop this on the inside of your fork blades. It sits in the crown race, you hammer it down. So you got a hammer between your fork blades. 20 bucks, I grabbed that. In the end, he ended up giving me a discount. And so it ended up being only $1,100 for everything, where I thought it was going to be like 12 plus all this other stuff. So we had some other stuff that he decided just to throw in, which I think is just heaven and magic. Here is a vintage J.A. Stein crown race removal tool. It has a bent and nice old aluminum crown race. I probably could have used this and might have saved it. So you loosen this guy up and put this over your steer tube, and this will clamp around the underside of your crown race between the fork crown and the crown race. And then you hold your fork and you go whap, whap, whap. This thing's a hammer. And you hammer your crown race up and off. I've seen the park one. I've tried to use it. I didn't think it worked any better than my punch and hammer method, but excited and we'll try it. He also had the Park crown race setting tool. This is like $150 tool or something. It looks like it's never been used, or it's been used, but barely. It's like they're not mangled. Wasn't using this with a bunch of cheap steel stuff. These were made for like angular aluminum. I think blue's like inch and black's inch and an eighth or something. Little adapters you put on the bottom of this. This goes over the whole fork steer tube, and then you hammer, 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 and hammer the crown races on. I want one of these. I was looking at one. There's one for like 150 bucks on Craigslist. Or did not buy it. Also had another old copper removal tool. You probably seen me do this in videos. You have your fork out. You squeeze I usually push it up from the bottom through the head tube until this snaps up and sits back down on your cup that's pressed into your head tube, and you hammer this guy and it drives the cup out of the frame. Very cool. Another vintage tool. This is a Calvan. This does the same thing for crown race removal. It clamps underneath between your fork and the crown, and you can hammer it and drive the crown race off your fork, which is super, super cool. And then he showed me a picture of some freewheel removal tools. He's like, yeah, we'll figure out together. And he's like, nah, I'm just going to give them all to you. You're going to use them. It's cool. Most people don't care about old freewheel tools. So he gave me these 2 boxes of freewheel tools. This is super cool. Here's like a old bicycle research one. It's a 2-prong old Sun Tour. It's totally mangled. It's probably dead. It's probably recycling. Here's an old Dura Ace one. You'll never see that Dura Ace freewheel because I think I have one on a bike right now, but I'm probably going to leave it on there. Old Shimano Dura Ace tool. Some weird one I have never seen before and have no idea what it is. Here's a little weird one. Maybe it's campy or something. J.A. Stein Company. That's all it says. But it's a freewheel tool with a driver pin and a little teeny shallow guy and some wrench flats. This is one for some weird bottom bracket, but it's also the right one for the really nice bottom brackets Renee Hurst sells. The SKF ones. I have this like in my rando bike. Here's a vintage Sun Tour 2-prong tool in pretty good shape. Ooh, 2-prong. Ooh, Sun Tour. A totally mangled and blown out Sun Tour 2-prong one's probably recycling. Another big Sun Tour 2-prong, also chewed up and destroyed. These are so easy to chew up the teeth and destroy. They're you really need to, whenever you put this on a Sun Tour 4-wheel and still on a wheel, it's got a hole big enough to put the axle through. You need to put the axle through, you need to put the quick release back on, the axle down, and kind of hold this tight, otherwise it'll always slip and destroy itself. More weirdness, weirdness, weirdness. This one caught my eye. I'm in love. So this is a super cool, I think early bicycle research or something. So it's a bottom bracket tool. It's got wrench flats on it, But it's got a spring-loaded threaded guy. The threaded guy is like the crank bolt size. You put this onto a bottom bracket, push it in, thread that crank bolt on to get this thing rocket tight so it doesn't come loose for really stuck sealed cartridge bearing bottom brackets. And you put a big wrench on it here and twist it and have this like slip out or pop out. This is worth your weight in gold. I used to have a pretty complicated, I think, Stein tool like it that I love. But this is even better. Some more really hammered bottom bracket tools. It's been in the vise a few dozen times. Bottom bracket. More campy. Here's some weird thing for some giant thing and some other thing. Wrench flats. Tons of weirdness. Some really dead 4-prongs. BMX tools. Some really early stuff. This is VAR on it. Real big. Here's another weird Shimano tool that has a crank bolt in it for reasons. Tool's not really a lot of good unless you know how to use it. More BMX, more clamp-on parts and bits and dead, bizarre things. So for free, and this really is literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars of bottom bracket tools, some in mint condition, some totally destroyed. Bottom bracket and wheel tools. I mean, God, some of these things are 25 or 30 bucks a piece retail. There's 2 or 3 of them in here. I just bought one, I should know. So that is my $1,100 score. My friend Anthony also came over. I built a bike for him. They rode across America on once. He gave me some wheels and tires the other day that I'm playing with. He wants to trade me a bunch of stuff for some money and maybe a lot of help building a Fuji mountain bike into a commuter and doing some other bike mechanic work stuff. So he gave me a big bag of parts that is either going to be for trade or for monies. So let's check those out too. Why not? What a mess. This is my favorite thing. So he saw I had those Panda pedals from Blue Lug. And he was asking me if I was interested in this. And I was. So we did a trade for those Panda pedals for this wheel. It's a tubular, so I don't care. I'm going to cut these spokes out. They're very light and nice. Wish I cared, but I don't. It is a Dura-Ace 7700 cassette hub. This is a 9-speed, 8, 9, or 10. It is gorgeous. These are one of the lightest, nicest hubs. They're still cup and cone. And they have titanium bodies. So they're really light, and you're supposed to use kind of nicer cassettes with alloy spiders and all that stuff. And this hub looks like it has no miles. There's no digging at all in the body. It is very nice. Low miles. I'm going to cut this out. Save as a backup. This will have my rando bike. I'm assuming I'm going to build a 650B upright city bike someday with custom frame and custom rack. And someday to go all nuts, maybe I'll build it just like my rando bike. It's all the same parts groups because that'd be hilarious. He gave me the Shimano 105 wheel. It's like 7-speed. I haven't checked it out to see if it's any good yet. May or may not be. I never trust wheels until I have checked the spoke tension and they're round and true. Bearings feel good. The matching shifters on a frame he gave me. He donated some 650B knobby tires. If anyone needs these, I would give them to you for the price of picking them up or shipping. Because I don't do any giant 650B knobby tires. Let's take a look and see what they are. They are WTB. And they're a size. And they don't look very worn out at all. Damn near new. They're definitely supple folders. They were definitely tubeless at one point. I don't know if that means they can be or they can't be. They are Riddler 2.4 27.5s. Fast, rolling, light, tubeless, CS compatible or something. He also gave me the set of WTBs. I think he was trying to sell these on Craigslist and no one cared. They are also tubeless. They've probably had a puncture or 3. I can see a little piece of glass right there. But they're not very worn out. They are like brand new. You can still see the rib. The WTB 47 New Horizons. Probably best to not be run as tubeless. I would make the same offer if anyone really, really wants these. I'd fold them up and put them in like a flat rate envelope or something. I'd probably fit them in like a $10 flat rate envelope, or maybe they'd even be cheaper because they're so light. And mail them to you, and you can see if they're any good. If you want to ride them, so let me know. Because I don't ride anything that big. I only ride 42s and 38s. This tire came off one of the wheels he gave me. Gave me a couple of single speed wheels as well. This is off some not super expensive bike. It's missing the nuts, but the bearings feel great. The wheel's round and true. Looks like it never had a brake on it. Gave me this fun one. You know, it's like a cheap Velocity hub, but it's barely got any rim wear at all. The thing's perfectly round and true. Spoke tension's perfectly even. I need one track nut, and then maybe I'll build a fun bike using this gold Velocity Deep V front wheel. So I'm excited about that. And then he brought over a whole bunch of junk. Some of it was cool, some of it wasn't. I didn't take all of it. And he was being a little catty about what kind of money he wanted for this parts and that kind of stuff. So hopefully not too much and it's worth my while and blah, blah, blah. Here's the Shimano 105 down tube 7-speed shifters. They seem like they're in pretty good shape. Ironically, he had this brand new FSA bottom bracket. It's like road, it's got gold cups, it's like modern external. And I have some FSA black cranks in really, really good shape off the bike. It's like, oh, maybe I'll use this bottom bracket and those cranks on this one project I'm going to work on next. Second next, after the Red Centurion. But then it, of course, those cranks sold on eBay instantly. So now I have this bottom bracket. Maybe I'll see if that guy wants it. I don't even know if it's the right one or compatible. Had a couple Ritchie stems he sold me. I'm like, yeah, I'll just put them right up onto old eBay. Oh, there's 1-inch threadless, I think. Interesting. People like Ritchie stuff on eBay. They buy it. Some nothing special pedals. Cheap, probably $10 new. But they're barely scuffy and in pretty good shape. They're black and they're lightweight. I think they're chromo axles. His bag of skewers, which I was trying to convince myself I didn't want. There's a couple of matching skewers in here and like one through axle-y thing. You know, I'd probably sell some and have some for parts and one set of Forte skewers that no one will care about. They're brand new and matching. Cool stuff is this Nitto stem. It's been painted to match like a Chris King bike or something, but got taken off for whatever reason. The paint's a little chipped up. It says Nitto. It's like their filigree stem. It's not light. It's threadless and it's steel and it's kind of cool. I couldn't say no. An old stem he said he got for me. Anthony is one of those people, like almost all of us, don't do this. This is my #1 message to you guys is keep hardware together. Don't lose parts. Stuff isn't as mismatchable or replaceable as you think. It's missing the stem bolt and the wedge. Probably a nice alloy light one. This is like a probably later 90s specialized, really nicely anodized black upright mountain stem made by Nitto. Super hot. I want that wedge, bro. Look, it's even like a sideways wedge instead of a straight on one. Extra trick. This he got from a guy's garage sale. I think he said he paid $50 for it, so I know he's going to want real money. It is a new old stock Strong Light Delta headset. So I believe it's black alloy, not Darylin. Oh, I think I'm wrong. I think this is Darylin. That's hard to tell. No, it's alloy. Right. Gotta hope it's alloy. I think it's alloy. They also made them out of Darylin plastic, but to be ultralight. So this is a needle bearing headset. It says 1x24. It says 26.4. So this should be English threaded, black, cool headset. Ooh, right up my nerdy X-frame builder alley. I would save that for a handmade bike. It would go on a show bike with all new old stock stuff. Here's some dumb problem solver braze-on adapter from Moderny mountain derailleurs. I don't know how that ended up in there. I don't really care. I'll put it on eBay and probably no one will care. These are kind of cool. Some Salsa wide cable hangers. You can see them. Ooh, Salsa! And they're really wide. So wide is really good for short bikes. You can use less of a triangle and still get the leverage. There's kind of a set of something like this on that little Trek touring bike we're going to do second or third from next. So just some cool stuff that I have paid $0 for so far, with only the promises of work, trade, and possibly some amount of money. Hopefully not too much. I'm totally willing to do hundreds of dollars of work for free, and hopefully that covers most of this stuff. Because building a bike is like overhauling a bike. It's like It's charging like $350 for a build, plus cables, housing, brake pads, all the new stuff. All the facing tools I've shown you, I charge $150 to quickly face and chase a whole bike after paint. That also includes little taps to tap all the water bottle bosses, a special little facer for canny studs, and or disc tabs, which I don't have yet. Or I charge like between 50 and 75 for bottom bracket facing and chasing. That was like 75, man, because it'd take a minute. And it dulls those tools, and those tools are expensive. You gotta amortize that cost, make a few bucks back towards what you paid for them and everything, and put a few bucks towards having them resharpened one day, and getting your hands hella dirty and setting up. You usually have to pull the bottom bracket out. People don't bring bare frames in and then reinstall it. Most shops will charge you $40 to install a bottom bracket. So I mean, it's a good deal. Sometimes I would charge extra, but it was a real pain in the ass for the customer. It was a jerk, or I was just feeling cheap that day. So after I just finished last week's scores video and uploaded today, just filmed this one. Maybe I'll try and finish it tonight or tomorrow and get it uploaded right away too. And then we'll start on that Centurion build. Maybe I can whip it out in a day or two. And then get started on this RB1 or on the Trek 520 touring bike overhaul. And then something with this gold deep V. I got a black generic specialized, like, you know, mid 2000s, totally generic cassette hub. Maybe it'd be cool to do like a 1x9 or 1x10 with this deep V up front with the basket mounted to it or something cool. On a cool bike, I got a little like 54 centimeter Super Sport with stuck BB cup. And now that I have that Cobra toolkit, it's got that stuck BB cup removal tool, maybe I'll get that thing out, because I could not do it. I was bashing all that with a hammer, I couldn't get it loose. And it's slightly undersized, so I really couldn't keep like the regular thin park tool on it. But maybe I can get that real heavy duty clamped on Cobra tool on it and get that dude out. So that is this is my $1,100 plus maybe more money plus maybe labor on Anthony's bike build. I think Anthony watches all my videos, so hopefully you see this. Thanks, dude. If not, he definitely follows my Instagram. You can see the memes on it. Thanks, dude. So thanks for watching.